What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Roll Tide Cafe, a part of the Bama Standard Network. I'm going to be one of your hosts today, Johnathan Lewis.
And I'm Ty Hayes.
All right, guys. Today we're going to be talking about, as you can see on the banner below us, Jehiem Oatis, the junior defensive lineman, entering the transfer portal and deciding to redshirt himself. Guys, I think this is maybe a bigger impact than we maybe realize at first glance. But Ty, I know, has been following this stuff very closely, watching a lot of film. So I think this could affect our depth. Maybe not. But either way, I wanted to bring on the expert here and get your opinion. So, Ty, let me know, how much of an impact is Jehiem Oatis entering this transfer portal and redshirting himself going to hurt us right away?
Yeah. So there's multiple different layers to this answer. There's what we have seen. And if we do take this at face value, John, it's not going to be as impactful as multiple people think. Now, the reason why I say that, because we're just not utilizing enough bodies that are defensive tackle types, right? It's one of the complaints I've had about the defense thus far. I love the guys up front, but one of the things I don't understand is against run heavy teams, this bandit defensive tackle wolf formation. Very rarely are we getting two big body guys out there. It's usually two defensive ends, a defensive tackle, and then your wolf. So if we look at it through the lens of what is, it's not going to be as impactful as people may think, just because we're not rotating in as many big bodies. Now, I think where it does hurt is whenever you go to make adjustments, right? Something that we sadly did not see enough of this weekend against Vandy. But whenever you go to make adjustments, maybe you have a bandit defensive tackle, wolf, that's where this hurts. One of the unfortunate realities we do have to talk about, though, when it comes to Otis, is this injury that he sustained. And ever since that injury was sustained, he hasn't been that guy. Tim Smith is up there now. James Smith is up there now. Tim Keenan is up there now. They've all kind of passed him. So this is a phenomenal talent. I think it's a big deal, and I want to get this clear one more time. I'm not saying that this is good. What I'm saying is, whether I agree with it or not, right now, we just haven't been utilizing as many defensive tackles, and we haven't been utilizing Jehiem Oatis. So I think that needs to change. I think it's an impact to depth, but whenever we look at what Womack is doing, he just hasn't called on the big guys as much as I thought he would.
So what I'm hearing is, God forbid us change our scheme here and bring on two defensive tackles, because I think it's going to impact that depth even more, in my opinion. So my next question to you is kind of the tough question, in my opinion here, is we saw the unfolding of what happened at Malachi Moore. We saw the Vandy loss. Do you think this has any kind of – is this a result from that? Maybe is Kane Womack losing the defense? Jehiem Oatis all of a sudden enters the transfer portal. We lost to Vandy. Do you think any of that comes into play when we talk about that?
Yeah, it's not for me to say whether or not Womack is losing the defense, right? The last thing I want to do, I'm just a college football fan with a microphone. I don't want to be the person saying like, oh, well, I know – because I don't, right? I'm just a diehard fan, but I can't give you my opinion on about whether or not this happens regardless of the Vandy loss. I think it probably does, because he didn't play, right? So if Bama gets 2 stops in that game, they win the game by a touchdown, I still think we're sitting here having this conversation because he hasn't played. And unfortunately right now, to me, this is more about the state of college football as a whole as it relates to the redshirt and transfer portal rules than it is an indictment on Alabama after this game. Now, we are saying this and recording this right now, and he is the only one that has hit the portal. You know how this goes, John. We could get done recording this and check out Twitter and there's somebody else. I don't believe that's going to be the case, but I also don't know. So it's not for me to say whether Womack has lost the defense, but I do believe we would be having this conversation regardless, because he just hasn't played a lot in any of the games. And if he is going to transfer, it needs to be sooner rather than later, because if he gets into 4 games, he burns the ability to utilize the red shirt.
No, absolutely, guys. And the transfer portal does open up December 9th. So it is, when you think about it, around the corner. When it comes to him getting ready, like you said, you don't want to burn that red shirt while you still have the chance to keep that on lock. Guys, Jehiem Oatis only has 1 tackle, I believe, all season. This guy really hasn't seen the field. And so let me ask you one last question. So do you think that obviously scheme has a little bit to play with this because you don't see two defensive tackles on the field very much? So this Kane Womack defense doesn't really cater to the depth or getting more of those big guys on the field. So I'm assuming that has clearly a little bit to play when it comes to the depth and him getting on the field.
Yeah, I think it certainly does. But I also think that there's something that's happened to where multiple guys have passed him.
Yeah.
What that is, it's not for me to say. I do know that the one thing I can say comfortably is that the injury, we know how that goes. You get injured. Think back, ladies and gentlemen, to Alvin Kamara at Alabama. Nobody's questioning Kamara's talent, but Kamara would be the first person to tell you, I got hurt, I looked up, and I had all these different guys that were now in front of me. I knew who I was. I knew I had the opportunity to go forward and make an impact. That's what this is, right? The injury played a big part in this, and how healthy he is, I don't know. I would assume he is healthy considering that he has played some, but also guys just passed him up on the depth chart, and that's kind of the unfortunate reality of the situation.
All right, so that's all I have, all the questions I got. Any last words before we get off here, Ty?
No, man. No, just excited to see what comes next for Alabama.
Same. Well, I'll say this. Good luck to Jehiem Oatis. All that stuff. No ill will. Never is. You know what I mean? Coming from this side. Other than that, everybody have a good day. And as always, roll Tide.